Hey everybody, Nick here, and today I got a review for you of this very interesting little pen here. This is the Vision Metal LP-5. So, this pen was actually first announced and funded via Kickstarter, the crowdsourcing platform. At which point I saw this guy and thought, oh yeah, I gotta check one of these guys out. Because this pen has a very neat trick. I mean, first off, we'll do a little size comparison. Here it is against a, generalized sort of pen that I think I stole from a Hampton Inn. Sorry about that, guys. The Pilot G2 sort of pen. So again, it's around the same size that you would normally expect from a pen, big click stick sort of thing. Here it is against the Kaweco Lilliput here, the Parker Jotta, of course, and then my one of my favorite, pens for everyday carry. This is the Urban Survival Gear Tie Scribe Bolt. So you can see it's a roughly full-size pen there. But wait, there's more, because watch, huh? Oh yeah. That's right, this pen has abruptly shrunk down to a very, very small size. Smaller than the Lilliput, smaller than anything else, and it's a one self-contained metal capsule. That is a very, very neat little trick here, and so you have a pen that is absolutely tiny, 100%, but yet unfolds to be a perfectly reasonable full-size pen here, and so to me, that's awesome. And so I'm getting ahead of myself there, but that's the fancy thing here about the LP-5, and now that I've done the size comparison and everything, let's just go ahead and jump into the good, the great, the bad, and the ugly of this particular pen here. So first off, good side, this is made by a dude in Ohio. That's always nice. I like supporting U.S. manufacturing, small businesses, beautiful thing, no arguing there. Next thing, this is a very nicely machined piece. I mean, seriously, if we look at it very closely here, I'll see if I can zoom in a little bit. You can see here that it's nicely done. All of the various, the surface finishes are good, and mind you, this is after several months of carrying it around in my pocket. So you're going to see a little bit of scuffing and whatnot, but that's on me, not it. You can see here even at the end, I mean, it's nicely done. It's a beautifully machined little object here, and on the closed side, feels the same way. This is a quality piece of material, even beside being a pen. So that's nice. Next thing, the cartridge in here is it's a off-the-shelf sort of insert, although it's only available on some shelves, if that makes sense. It is using the Lamy M22 cartridge here. It's not super uncommon in the world, and you can certainly order replacements and whatnot on Amazon and otherwise. But still, it's an off-the-shelf sort of cartridge, and you know what? It writes okay. If I pull out my piece of paper here that I've been using for this, I can write, hey, everybody. And it writes, and it writes, and it writes, and it writes, and there's no freaking problem with it. It is just another ballpoint pen sort of insert here. And that's good. There's no dropouts, there's no issues. It works just reliably. No issues. So that's good. Next thing, whether it's open or closed, the little junction here, the joining here, just looks like a third ring. It is equally spaced between these two rings on both sides, and that's actually a really... Look, does this matter in any way, shape, or form? No. But it is showing that the designer really did give a damn. That they made that spacing specifically so that it would be symmetrical and so that it would work evenly and attractively, whether the pen is open or closed. That's a beautiful thing. And so that's good. And then finally, the price on this guy is actually not very bad at all. That's a weird way to phrase that, but it isn't. This is $55 in titanium, and that's the price for the new round that he's going to be launching before too long here. Or $45 in stainless or brass or copper, plus or minus. It's $35 in aluminum, which should be even lighter. Look, I mean, yeah, you can buy a pen for a great deal less money, but for a very small pen made by a very small shop in the USA, I have no problem with those prices. That is completely, actually reasonable for the everyday carry pen world. No issue at all given the quality here. And so to me, all of that is the good, is that it's not that pricey, given everything. Whether it's open or closed, this little junction looks like another ring here. It writes reliably. It's nicely machined. It's made by one dude in Ohio. There's a lot of good here. But to me, what is great about this guy, 100%, is that size thing. This pen is tiny. When it is folded up, you literally, I have to find it in my pocket. It is so small. And that is great. I mean, I love carrying, for instance, the Kaweco Lilliput here. This is another great pen that you can just throw in your pocket and kind of forget about. This guy is smaller still, and it's less obtrusive still. The weight on it is absolutely tiny here. Let's pull this out here. The weight of this pen here is 0.72 ounces. That's really light, and it's lighter, I believe. Yeah, then the Kaweco Lilliput here. I mean, this is really great. Yet, the thing is, even though this pen is smaller than a chapstick, even though it is tiny in the pocket here, and I'll actually measure it, that can't hurt, right? But even though that, when you unfurl it, unfurl? That's not the verb. Whatever. When you take it out and deploy it, that sounds too high speed, low drag, whatever it is, it feels like a full-size pen. This writes just fine. It's not like, for instance, in the past I reviewed an Extend-A-Pen where you pull it out and it's like an extendable baton thing. But that felt cheapy. It felt too small. It didn't write well in the hand. Whereas this pen is honestly just a fine, as I throw it across the room, this is just a fine pen with decent balance, everything like that. It feels like a full-size pen. You have no problems at all with it, with enough barrel to grip, enough comfort, everything. And then you make it back into the size, less than the size of a chapstick. It's really, really impressive. There were a lot of these bullet pen form factor things, but in terms of transformation, from really, really, really tiny to really, really effective in the hand, nothing that I've found beats this guy. And so to me, that is what is absolutely great about this guy, is that transformation from really absurdly small to a full-size writing instrument that feels just fine. So that's what's great. On the bad side, first off, as you've been seeing a little bit during the review, this does have a tendency to roll roughly everywhere, especially, for instance, if you have an uneven conference table at work, which is a common feature of my reviews these days. This will, if you set it down, roll and roll and roll. I would prefer maybe some kind of a little knob or a flat surface or something, but it's a lathed piece. Look, I get it. That's life. But still, I found myself very often having to stand it up on end, and it's a little bit tippy to do that. And so, whatever, not a big deal, though. Next thing, speaking of not a big deal, this is not an incredible writer pen. So what I mean by that is that this is about the equivalent in terms of writing quality, maybe slightly better, but if your normal Bic click stick sort of pen, you can write with it, and you can write all day with it, and it could be okay. But the thing is, this is really not designed for, oh my god, incredible writing. I mean, I have a rollerball cartridge, a Mont Blanc rollerball cartridge in this. This writes beautifully with very little pressure, beautiful ink patterns and everything. This just puts lines on paper. But this is a pen that's designed to favor carrying over writing it. And I did spend an entire work trip with this as my only pen, and I really didn't care that much, so it's okay. But if you're used to something like a rollerball or a fountain pen or something like that, this refill's not going to super impress you, but that's okay. Speaking of the refills are $3 to $5 each, and they're not super widely available. I mean, a Parker refill you can probably get at any office supply store. But this little M22 thing, you're probably going to have to get online. And so if you're carrying this guy, say when you're traveling, you might want to bring a second refill rather than doing something else. Not a big deal, but it's something you want to keep in mind. And a little bit of planning might help. Next thing, this does have a little bit of a tendency to loosen in the pocket here. And given part of it may be just that I can't put too much torque on it, given that there's relatively little at the end here. But a couple of times I found it partly unscrewed in my pocket there. It never got to the point where it completely unscrewed. And the thing is, it's a ballpoint pen. So even if it is up against the fabric of your pocket all day, worst case, you're going to put a little bit of mark of ink on the inside of your pocket. It's not like a rollerball or a fountain pen or a fine liner that will just bleed and bleed and bleed and bleed. And so you'll have a big, black spot on the side of your pants. No, it's not a big deal when it happens, but it's a thing. Next thing, this could actually use a little bit of a flat to index this thing. What I mean by that is that on many pens, do I have a pen that does that here? No, I do not. But on many pens, you have a little bit of a protrusion out in front of the threads. And what that little protrusion, just like a straight wall thing, what that allows you to do is to align very nicely the two halves as you put it back onto there so that you're not at a weird angle when you're trying to screw things back in. Then it engages with the threads, and there you go. This is a little less space efficient, but it makes it easier to cap. And it would also help to knock down the fact that the threading on this here is a little bit sharp at the edge. Thing is, I actually mentioned this to the maker, because I reached out to the maker knowing that this was going to be a positive review and just said, hey, FYI, I'm going to post this, when you're going to be dropping more of them, etc. He said, and I told him, he asked, well, what are the problems with it? And I mentioned that, and he actually prototyped it, and he's going to add that to future versions. So that issue, coupled with the fact that this threading on the back here is a little bit on the sharp side, both of those things are now fixed, and that's absolutely spectacular. And the only other thing I had to say about it was negative, is that this could probably use a slightly stronger chamfer on the back here. This is a very sharp thing and could absolutely hurt something that's in your pocket, for instance, leave marks on your wallet, etc. I'd like to see that rounded a little bit more. So, anyways, there you go. But those are the bad things to me, is that this is maybe a little sharper than it needs to be. It could use that little area for indexing the cap as you slide it back onto there, as well as to reduce the sharpness here. But the guy's doing that, so no freaking problem. What else? Oh, it has the tendency to loosen a little bit, but that's not a big deal. Refills are $3 to $5, not widely available, whatever. It's not an incredible writer, but again, you're buying this to carry, not to write with. If you're writing all day, you want something better. And it has a tendency to roll everywhere, which is just life. The ugly front, honestly, there's nothing ugly here. This is just a great pen. And actually, that's my final conclusion. This is a stellar little pen. I mean, it is beautifully made just as an object. 100%. It is smartly designed. I'm sorry, I'm going to divert for a second, but look at the inside of this here. You can see here that the maker has actually made... this is not like a hollow tube here that he has machined. No, this is just beautiful. Anyways, I digress. But it is a beautifully made little pen, and at every place I look at this guy, I can tell that the maker gave a damn and really wanted to do a great job of making it look beautiful, and that's excellent. It is also really smartly designed. Every part of this is very, very well thought through. It is an absolute joy to carry. If joy is the right word, it is a pen that I don't feel like I'm carrying until I need a pen. And at some level, that's one of the very best things that an everyday carry pen can be. Yet, when you do get this guy out, when you do pull it out, and you do deploy it, and you do actually use it, it feels absolutely great. It's like enough, and it works just beautifully. And so, yeah, there were a couple of nitpicks, and mostly a little bit of chamfering, and then the stuff that's already fixed in the new versions. But this is just great. Absolutely. It is the best tiny pen that I am aware of, bar freaking none. And it is an absolutely excellent travel option, the best pen I'm aware of just to toss in your pocket to make sure you're never without a pen. I mean, a really good comparison here is the Kaweco Lilliput, which is a small fountain pen that has a similar sort of trick. The thing is, this is lighter than the Lilliput. It's smaller than the Lilliput. It's a little easier to deploy than the Lilliput, which has the round end on there. And this is a ballpoint rather than this being a fountain pen. This is going to write a little bit better if you're going to do a lot of writing, but this is going to be much lower maintenance. Fountain pens are always going to be a little bit of a diva. And so this is absolutely great, and it's a pretty good choice for your daily life. And so as you might imagine from all this, it is a shining freaking gem. This is a pen that I have come to love and that will absolutely be sticking around for me. And it's kind of taken over the role in my life of the, I really don't know if I'm going to need a pen today sort of pen. I just kind of keep it in the stuff that I throw in my pocket on a daily basis. Sometimes I'll carry this and another pen because I forget I've got this. And that's just fine. And I highly recommend it to anybody who wants a pen for that role. It's not the best pen to spend the entire day handwriting. For there, you want some really nice rollerball, fountain pen, whatever. But this is absolutely a great choice for everyday carry and a really, really beautiful little product. And the second version is going to be even better. So well done, Vision Metal. This is really impressive. Keep up the good work. I'm absolutely looking forward to and keeping an eye on these folks to see what's coming up next for them. But the LP-5 is just great. So, there you go. Hope this has been interesting to you, that I made the right call, and that this made a tiny impact on your purchasing decisions, and that you have yourselves just an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Bye now.